Let me start with something uncomfortable, because success is full of uncomfortable truths. One of the biggest lies we're told is that success will fix us. That once you reach a certain level, more money, more recognition, more control, you'll finally feel confident, complete, calm, that the doubts will quiet down, the fear will disappear, the emptiness will be replaced by certainty. That doesn't happen. In fact, the opposite usually does. Success doesn't heal you. It reveals you. It turns the volume up on everything that already exists inside you. If you're driven, you become relentlessly driven. If you're insecure, those insecurities don't vanish. They get sharper. Because now there's more to lose. When the stakes are low, your flaws can hide. When the stakes are high, there's nowhere for them to go. Pressure doesn't create character. It exposes it. Early on, struggle gives you a kind of clarity. You know what you're fighting against. You're too busy surviving to question yourself deeply. But once things start working, when people start watching, expecting, applauding, that's when the real test begins. Because now, every decision carries weight. Every failure is public. Every success raises the bar. And suddenly the voice in your head isn't asking, "Can I do this?" It's asking, "What happens if I can't keep doing this?" A lot of people think confidence comes from winning. It doesn't. Confidence comes from facing uncertainty repeatedly and not breaking. Success just gives you more uncertainty, more complexity, more responsibility. It doesn't make you fearless. It just makes the fear more sophisticated. And if you've been running from yourself, your doubts, your unresolved questions, success will catch you and force the conversation. This is why you see people who have achieved extraordinary things still wrestling with restlessness, impatience, even loneliness. Not because they failed, but because success stripped away the illusion that achievement equals peace. When you remove external obstacles, you're left alone with your internal ones. And those don't disappear just because the numbers look good or the headlines change. The truth is, success requires a level of self-awareness most people don't talk about. You have to know what drives you, but also what destabilizes you. You have to recognize when ambition turns into avoidance, when momentum turns into addiction. Otherwise, you don't control success. Success controls you. If you're chasing success to escape who you are, you'll be disappointed when you arrive and find yourself still there, just standing on a higher platform with brighter lights and deeper shadows. Because success doesn't save you. It asks whether you're ready to meet yourself without excuses. Once you understand that success doesn't fix you, the next realization hits even harder. Nothing comes without a cost. We love to talk about wins, milestones, and breakthroughs, but we rarely talk about what quietly disappears in the process. Every achievement demands a trade-off. Not sometimes. Every time. The problem isn't the cost itself. It's that most people never choose it consciously. Early on, the trade-offs feel temporary. You tell yourself you're sacrificing weekends, sleep, relationships, balance, just for now. You say it's part of the grind, that you'll make it up later. And for a while, that story works. Progress rewards you quickly at the beginning, and the momentum makes the losses seem invisible. But time doesn't pause. The people you don't show up for don't freeze in place. The habits you neglect don't politely wait. They erode quietly, while you're busy building something impressive. What makes this dangerous is that success rarely announces its price up front. It doesn't say, "This promotion will cost you your presence," or "This breakthrough will shrink your margin for error," or "This level of responsibility will follow you home every night." The invoice arrives later, usually when you're too invested to walk away easily. By then, your identity is tied to the thing you built, and letting go feels like failure, even if holding on is costing you more than you expected. There's also a subtler trade-off people don't anticipate. Simplicity. As success grows, so does complexity. Decisions multiply. Stakes rise. Freedom, ironically, can decrease. You gain options, but you lose ease. You gain influence, but you lose anonymity. Life becomes less forgiving, not more. Every choice carries consequences that ripple farther than you imagined when you started. And then there's the emotional cost. The pressure to perform doesn't vanish after a win, it intensifies. Expectations stack. Standards harden. What once felt like ambition can turn into obligation. You stop asking what you want and start responding to what's required. That shift is quiet, almost invisible. But it's where many people lose themselves while still looking wildly successful from the outside. None of this means success is bad. It means it's expensive, and like anything expensive, it demands clarity. You have to decide what you're willing to pay and what you refuse to put on the table. Not everything should be sacrificed, no matter how tempting the reward. Some costs compound in ways success can't compensate for later. If you don't define your boundaries, success will define them for you, and it won't ask permission, because the real danger isn't paying a price for success, it's paying it without ever choosing it. After the trade-offs become real, another truth starts to surface, one people almost never warn you about. As success grows, intimacy often shrinks, not because you stop caring, but because the way people relate to you changes, quietly, subtly. And at first you may not even notice it happening. When you're building, relationships tend to feel equal. You struggle together, laugh together, complain together. But once you succeed, the dynamic shifts. People see the result, not the process. They see confidence, not uncertainty, authority, not confusion, and slowly, conversations change. Fewer people challenge you. Fewer people tell you uncomfortable truths. Admiration replaces honesty, and distance disguises itself as respect. Success can put you on a stage you never asked for. And the higher that stage gets, the harder it is for people to meet you there as equal. Some become careful, some become quiet. Some want something from you. Others feel intimidated, even if they don't admit it. What disappears is the easy, unguarded connection, the kind where you don't have to perform or explain who you are. And here's the irony. The more visible you become, the more invisible your inner life can feel. People assume you're fine. They assume strength means certainty, and certainty means you don't need support. So they stop checking in. They stop asking real questions. Not out of neglect, but out of belief that you've outgrown the need for closeness. That assumption can be deeply isolating. This is why success can feel lonely even in crowded rooms. You're surrounded by people, but rarely seen. You're heard, but not understood. You're valued for what you do, not who you are when the work is stripped away. And over time, that gap can widen until you start editing yourself. Sharing less, trusting less, protecting more. Connection from reality. When intimacy fades, feedback fades with it. And without honest connection, it becomes easy to drift, to mistake applause for alignment, to confuse being followed with being supported. Real intimacy grounds you. It keeps you human. Without it, success can quietly detach you from the very people who would keep you balanced for a time. Some people respond by pulling further away. Others try to replace intimacy with productivity, thinking impact will fill the gap. It doesn't. Connection isn't a luxury. It's a stabilizer. And success tests whether you'll actively protect it or let it dissolve under the weight of expectations. If you don't make space for real relationships, success will surround you with people, but starve you of connection. Because admiration can't replace intimacy, and no amount of achievement can compensate for being unseen. Once intimacy shifts and the noise around you grows louder, something else begins to happen. Something deeply personal. Success starts to rewrite your identity. Not once, but repeatedly. The version of you that chased the goal can't survive unchanged once the goal is reached. And that can be disorienting. In the beginning, your identity is simple. You're the one trying. The one proving. The one pushing uphill. Struggle gives you a story you can easily tell yourself. I'm here because I'm not there yet. But when you get there, when the breakthrough happens, when the label changes, when the world starts treating you differently, that story expires. And suddenly, you have to answer a harder question. Who am I now, without the hunger that defined me? Most people aren't prepared for that moment. They think success is an arrival, a place where things stabilize. It's not. It's a transition. And transitions demand reinvention. And what used to motivate you may no longer work. They start to feel mechanical. The habits, roles, and even beliefs that helped you rise can become constraints if you cling to them too tightly. This is where a lot of people get stuck. They keep playing the old version of themselves because it's familiar and rewarded. They double down on the identity that brought them recognition, even when it no longer fits. And over time, that creates friction between who they are becoming and who they're expected to be. The world wants consistency. Growth demands change. That tension is exhausting. Success doesn't ask, "Can you do this?" anymore. It asks, "Can you evolve? Can you let go of being the underdog when you're no longer one? Can you release the need to prove yourself when proof is everywhere? Can you shift from reacting to building, from sprinting to designing, from chasing to choosing? These are uncomfortable moves because they require you to leave behind an identity that once kept you safe, and it doesn't happen just once. Each new level forces the question again. The skills that got you here won't fully get you there. The mindset that fueled growth can turn into pressure if it's not recalibrated. Reinvention becomes a recurring responsibility, not a one-time event. They're the ones who refuse to update their identity. They confuse consistency with integrity. But real integrity is alignment between who you are, what you're building, and how you're living now, not who you were when you started. Success doesn't let you stay the same. It keeps asking you to shed skins, assumptions, and stories that no longer serve the future you're stepping into. Because you don't rise by holding on. You rise by becoming willing to change. After you've reinvented yourself a few times, after you've paid real costs and felt the distance success can create, another illusion quietly falls apart. The belief that ambition and fulfillment are the same thing. Early on, they feel inseparable. Ambition gives you direction. It gives you energy. It gives you a reason to get up when nothing is guaranteed. But somewhere along the way, ambition can keep running long after fulfillment has stopped keeping up. Ambition is excellent at answering the question, what's next? Fulfillment answers a different one. Why does this matter? The problem is, success trains you to keep asking the first question louder and faster, while the second one gets postponed. You tell yourself you'll feel satisfied after the next milestone, the next launch, the next expansion, and when you reach it, the feeling is there, but it's brief, fleeting, almost immediately replaced by the next target. That's not a personal failure. It's how ambition works. It's designed to move you forward, not to let you rest. But if you don't notice the difference, you can end up endlessly productive and quietly empty. From the outside, it looks like momentum. From the inside, it can feel like hunger without an appetite. Wanting more without knowing what enough even looks like anymore. Success makes this especially tricky because it rewards motion. People praise growth, scale, speed. Rarely do they celebrate contentment. So slowing down can feel irresponsible. Questioning your drive can feel like weakness. You start measuring your worth by output, impact, metrics, things that never say a stop, only optimize. And fulfillment doesn't compete well in that environment because it's quieter. It doesn't shout. It doesn't trend. This is where people confuse dissatisfaction with motivation. They think the restlessness is what keeps them sharp. And sometimes it does, for a while. But unchecked, it turns into a loop where achievement becomes a substitute for meaning. You're busy, important in demand, yet strangely disconnected from why any of it mattered to you in the first place. Fulfillment isn't about doing less. It's about doing what aligns. It's about knowing which ambitions are extensions of your values and which are just habits that grew too big to question. That requires pause, reflection, the willingness to ask uncomfortable things like, if this didn't get applause, would I still want it? Success doesn't force you to ask that. It allows you to avoid it, unless you choose otherwise. The most dangerous version of success isn't failure. It's winning at things that don't actually nourish you. Ambition will always offer you another mountain. Fulfillment asks whether the view is one you actually want to live with. Because climbing higher means nothing if you don't recognize when you've already arrived, somewhere worth standing still. After everything you've heard, the exposure, the trade-offs, the distance, the reinvention, the restlessness, it all comes down to one final truth. Success isn't something you achieve once. It's something you live with. And living with it means negotiating continuously what it costs you to keep going. Most people ask the wrong question. They ask, can I succeed? That's usually the easy part. With enough effort, talent, timing, or luck, many people can win. The harder question, the one almost no one prepares for is, can I live with what success requires of me over time? Not just this year, not just during the exciting phase. Success changes the rules of your life. It removes certain struggles, but it replaces them with different ones. You gain leverage, but you lose margin for error. You gain influence, but your choices affect more people, which means fewer impulsive moves, fewer clean exits. Walking away becomes harder. Saying no becomes more expensive. The very thing you worked for starts asking more from you than you expected. This is where unconscious living becomes dangerous. If you don't regularly reassess what you're protecting, your time, your relationships, your health, your curiosity, success will slowly trade those things away for growth, scale, and momentum. Not maliciously, automatically. Systems optimize for expansion, not for meaning. If you don't intervene, you'll wake up one day successful by every external measure and misaligned internally. The negotiation never ends because life doesn't stand still. What you were willing to sacrifice at one stage may no longer be acceptable at another. And that's not weakness, that's evolution. It takes discipline to protect boundaries no one else will enforce for you. And it takes honesty to admit when a win no longer feels like one. The people who last, the ones who don't burn out, hollow out, or disappear into the image they built, are the ones who choose deliberately. They know what they're building and what they're preserving. They understand that meaning isn't something success delivers to you. It's something you actively defend while success tries to take up more space. Success is a powerful tool, but tools don't have values. You do. If you don't decide what matters most, success will decide for you based on speed, pressure, and expectation. And those are terrible architects of a life. So don't ask whether you can win. Ask whether the life required to keep winning is one you actually want to live. Because success isn't about how high you climb. It's about what you refuse to sacrifice on the way up. Success isn't the fairy tale you were sold. It won't save you, heal you, or make you. It will ask for intimacy with risk, a negotiation with loneliness, and a constant redefinition of who you are becoming. The harsh truth is this: success magnifies everything. Your hunger, your fears, your fractures. It rewards competence, but it exposes character. You don't arrive, you renegotiate. Every milestone demands a trade-off: time for meaning, applause for connection, certainty for desire. If you want success, be honest about the cost, and decide consciously what you're willing to lose before the spotlight teaches you its silence. Everyone wants success, but almost no one wants the truth that comes with it. We're taught to chase it, glorify it, and believe it will finally make us feel complete. But what if success doesn't arrive as a reward, and instead shows up as a test? What if the very thing you're working toward demands more than it gives back? This isn't about motivation or hustle. This is about what happens after you win, when the applause fades, the pressure remains, and you're left alone with the cost of becoming exceptional. Tonight, we're talking about the side of success no one prepares you for.